League of Legends solo queue is not a series of rational decisions made by rational players. We need to stop treating League of Legends like an LS vacuum, I like to call it, where we think that everyone is going to play to their optimal ability, everyone is going to make the most rational decision, and everyone is going to make the decision that I think is most rational. So this is just a quick educational video on how to understand that solo queue is not a rational decision-making process in order to get to a victory outcome, how to adapt, and then ultimately how to overcome. This isn't something that is going to help you achieve this overnight. It's understanding this concept, knowing how to apply it, and then using it in your games. So, why solo queue is so frustrating? Firstly, you are 10 complete strangers playing the game. You guys have different lifestyles, you're playing in different environments. There are so many different factors, not to mention whether you've just playing your first game of the day, or your teammate is on a 5-game losing streak, or they are chat restricted, or they hate you for some reason because you insta-locked Yasuo. There are so many different variables of every game you play in solo queue that it can't possibly be a series of rational events leading to that goal outcome of winning. Because one, not even everyone wants to win the game sometimes. Obviously with rages, trolls, AFKers, inters, these guys aren't actually seeing eye to eye to you on the overall objective, let alone how to actually get to that objective. So number one is understand that you are 10 separate players playing a game while you're all trying to achieve the same outcome. There's one team trying to prevent the other team, so that already creates a point of conflict and starts the irrational decisions of they did this so I must do that, and gets into that spiral of chaotic solo queue fiesta that we see. But also those 5 players on each team are also completely thinking differently about how they can win the game, because a top's perspective is different from a mid's, from a bot's, from a jungler's, etc. Not to mention their environmental and their mental rational behaviors are going to affect your decisions, not only yours, but also theirs, and ultimately what actions your team will actually make. 2, building trust. Now, how do you build trust in a game where everyone is making irrational decisions? Well, I like to go about it by starting a baseline level of trust in your teammates. So you trust that they're neither going to feed nor carry the game. So you're never disappointed, and you can only get excited when they actually do carry the game because you're never expecting it. But when they do, it's a great thing. So how do you then build this trust? So you set expectations of, okay, I do not expect my top laner to feed nor carry the game unless I in some way empower him to do it. So whether that's through a gank, whether that's through a roam, whether that's through warding, your teammates need to prove your trust. They need to show you that they are a good player. You cannot assume they're a good player from just looking at their previous match history or the champion they locked in or the matchup they're facing. Because as we know, 1, they're irrational. 2, their opponent is irrational. And 3, a traditional matchup in solo queue never actually goes the way it's meant to go because of these irrational decisions, but also skill level gaps between both players, jungle impact, and other players' impact. So we cannot assume any level of competency that is above a baseline standard of neutral on an enemy or an ally until they prove otherwise through their own actions, but also through you empowering their actions. So whether that's through a gank, as we've said earlier, or through warding, or communicating to them through pings that you're coming on your way, or to push out the turret so we can do Rift Herald, etc. 4, democratic decision making. Understand again, you are 5 people who are irrational while all trying to strive and achieve the same outcome. You are guaranteed to have conflict during this decision-making process. So, how do you overcome this? The best is strength in numbers, democratic decision-making. If 3 of you go to Baron and 2 of you decide to split push mid, the right call of those 2 people split pushing mid is to go to Baron. So if you are one of those two people who decide to split push mid, even though the majority of your team go to Baron, you are in the wrong. While your decision rationally, or in the LS vacuum, or in an ideal game of high challenger solo queue gameplay or professional gameplay of League of Legends, is the right decision, because if you get the inhib, it's theoretically can be more valuable than the Baron in your head traditionally and through other biases or perceptions that you have. If your team is deciding through three of you to go to Baron, you need to follow that, because if you don't, two of you are going to try to split push mid. Chances are you're going to fail because there's only two of you split pushing, and the three who are doing Baron, chances are they're not going to be able to do it. Now, obviously, this is just an example, and of course, there's champions that can duo Baron or trio Baron, and there's champions that can solo push a lane. But it all depends on how late in the game you are, how good they are at taking turrets, how good they are at killing Baron, etc, etc. But I use this as an example to make you understand that while in your head, you might have the best idea or the best understanding of what your team needs to do to get a win, which is push mid, get the inhib, and then set up the rest of the game around that. But if the majority of your team have another idea in mind, whether your idea is right or not, the chances of the decision that the majority of your team are making is much higher in its success, because you have strength in numbers, because there's more of you trying to achieve that same goal. And so if you can add yourself to that goal, if you can be, instead of 3 versus 2 Baron versus Inhibitor, you can be 4 versus 1 Baron versus Inhibitor, you now have a much higher chance of not only getting that 5th person over to Baron, but a much higher chance of actually achieving one of the many outcomes that can lead to a victory in League of Legends. So that is the end of why solo queue is so frustrating, why it is a series of irrational decision makers making irrational decisions, and how you can at least begin to understand and overcome it. And the only way you are realistically going to be doing this, you can listen to this, but you need to apply this into your games. You need to go into a game understanding that you and your team, while you all want to win the game, you do not necessarily see the same path of victory as each other. You need to understand, try and understand at least the competency of your players. So is my top laner good? Is my mid laner good? Can I trust them? Can I not trust them? Based on the decisions they make in game, not only on their own, but also when you're with them. And then how to do democratic decision making, regardless of whether you think it's the right or wrong play, because strength in numbers is statistically proven to be a more successful strategy than trying to do something on your own in a team-based game. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you like the ideas that I put down in the comments below. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it, if you learned something new. As always, I have my Discord link, my Twitch link, and all other links, including my website, down below. If you're interested, please check them out. And yeah, guys, cheers, good luck on the Rift, and I'll see you on the next video.